Do you ever find yourself feeling overwhelmed or stressed in a particular conversation that might be happening soon or has happened before? It may be with colleagues, it may be with friends, or it may be with family. I'm going to be giving 7 tips to help you to safeguard your mental health and well-being when having or in the aftermath of having these challenging conversations.
And trying to remain so strong. I know it's good if I'm alone. I got it. I gotta go. Running.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be talking about how to protect your mental health when you have a challenging conversation. Firstly, let me explain the reason why I'm making this video and a little bit more about myself. My name is Deanna and I'm a content creator who makes videos all about mental health and my life in general. I am diagnosed with complex PTSD, which in a nutshell means that challenging conversations can be difficult for me, and it can sometimes cause me to be triggered into a panic attack or something like that, which is exactly what happened about 3 or 4 months ago. And I did make a video about that, so I'll leave that on the card above. And if you'd like to go and see what that was about, maybe you can watch that after this video. But basically, I had a panic attack at work. It was triggered by a difficult conversation and I suddenly felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was gasping for air and I just felt like it was never going to end. I felt like I wanted the ground to swallow me up whole. I wanted nothing but to get out of that room. I didn't want to be there anymore. I was crying, I was shaking, I was a shell of myself. And after this, it took me over 40 minutes to recover from this panic attack, enough to then say to myself, I've calmed down enough to re-enter and go back into work. I was then sent home because of this massive panic attack, and after a lot of my panic attacks, I feel tired. So it kind of made sense for me to go home, but it was triggered by a colleague and it shouldn't have been. In hindsight, there's a few things that I wish I would have done going into this conversation, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about those. Take a deep breath before you enter the discussion, and remember your breathing throughout the discussion. If you feel like you're going to be going into a panic attack or you feel slightly on edge, take some deep breaths and keep taking the breaths and trying to calm yourself down. This simple act can help you to center your thoughts and to make the conversation a bit more calm. Tip 2 is to set your intentions. So before you go into the meeting and at the start of the meeting, to clearly define your intentions of that meeting, whether it's writing on a bit of paper and saying, I really want to achieve, level ground after this meeting, or I really want to, tell this person how I felt or something like that. Whatever it may be, setting your intentions and making your intentions known to the other party is very important. I find that writing a little short list of a few things that I want to say before going into a potentially difficult or anxiety-provoking discussion can really help me, because if I don't write things down, my anxiety will make me forget a load of things and then I will regret not doing it in the end. Tip 3 is to focus on the speaker's voice. So to practice active listening and to focus on what the other person is saying and focus on when it's your turn to speak rather than trying to speak over that person. At the end of the day, the only behavior that you can control is yourself. You can't control how the other person reacts. So if you're able to practice the active listening and to show that you are willing to give them time to speak and you're not going to talk over them, then that's only going to show that you are being mature in that conversation. Tip 4 is to use I statements. And by this, I mean by saying I feel or I thought. This provokes an open conversation to the point where, it keeps the conversation open and it keeps the other person feeling like you're not accusing them of doing something. By saying, I feel that when you said this, it made me upset. You can turn around and say, I think that the volume in the room is too loud. And that is not directing it at either person. That is just saying that we need to stop and we need to reset the volume in the room. Or by saying, I feel that this argument has led to this, and to use it and put it on yourself and not direct it. I feel upset. And by basically just using the facts rather than pushing blame onto the other person, even though that may be what you want to do, by by not doing that, it can keep the conversation a lot more open. Tip number 5 is to take breaks when you need to. So if you feel like the conversation is becoming too heated, or you're becoming anxious, or that you need a break, it's important to have a way to indicate that, whether it's by having a bit of paper and writing it down and just saying break, or by getting up and leaving the room, or by basically just saying, can I have a break? Anything is best to kind of secure your mental health and to protect that at all costs, because you need to be protecting yourself and how you feel. Tip number 6 is to set boundaries. I mean, basically being able to say, this conversation is getting too much for me right now. I need to leave the room and calm down. And that is setting a boundary by knowing your limits and knowing what you need to do to protect your mental health. And my final tip number 7, is to practice self-care. So this can be done before or after, usually, the conversation. So you could do a face mask the night before, you could paint your nails, you could, maybe make sure you get extra sleep the night before. And then, if you do feel anxious or upset after the conversation, it's important to then take time for yourself, have a rest, have a bath, relax, try and look after yourself, because at the end of the day, you're trying to protect your own well-being, and nobody is any good if you don't have your own well-being. Remember that difficult conversations can be emotionally draining. They can drain somebody so much that it becomes overwhelming. You can safeguard your mental health and protect your well-being. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that it's helped you in some way. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and please remember that I believe in you, even if nobody else does. And I shall see you in my next one. Bye.
Just like you're young again, no, don't you cry. Just get back up again.